Welcome to the Scandal Fan Podcast. I am one of your hostesses. I'm Jaha Knight, and today I am joined by Shane from DC.
What's going on? The man you love to hate.
Wow. We don't love to hate you, Shane. It's just that you be saying things that cause us to give pause to the common sense of it all. So that's why we tend to go there with you. And you do it on purpose. You do it on purpose. You just a little bit. I think a lot did. Because I saw your comments in Scandalistas the other day, something about I told y'all and y'all either something. I can't remember what it said, but I was like, you didn't. No, you didn't. You were all team Olivia as a whole. That's what you was on. You was
no.
No, not team Olivia as a whole. What team was it?
I really don't think that.
Okay, so what team was it?
I think the one you were talking about was the one where I was talking about if Huck is Hispanic and Kim is white, then how do they have a black child?
How did that have anything to do with Olivia? I'm talking about when you be like, Olivia ain't got no gut. Her gut rotten. Like you
yeah, her gut is rotten.
You want team hate on Olivia. That's what you want. You want team hate on Olivia. I am
not on Olivia fan, although I'm getting there.
You're getting, because she's coming back now. Now, you team wishy-washy. That's the team you on. You on team wishy-washy.
I'll own that.
You own it? Oh, okay, good. I'm glad you own that. So we have a couple things going on this episode. And The Last Supper. The Last Supper. I knew that this episode was going to be great when I heard the title, The Last Supper. So, shots fired. Jake told Fitz to call him Captain Ballard. We were worried about Abby and Olivia's relationship, but what about Jake's and Fitz's relationship? Are we not concerned about that? Do we give no damns about their relationship?
I'll have to be honest. The whole Jake Fitz dynamic is suspect. I am not a believer that Jake is who he says he is.
What do you mean by that?
Well, in season 2, they started out with good Jake or bad Jake. And we assumed over time that he's really good Jake. I'm just not buying that.
We assumed over time that he's good Jake? What do you mean by he's good Jake?
Well, there was a tagline in season 2.
Mm-hmm.
You may remember.
Hashtag, what was it?
It was hashtag good Jake or bad Jake.
Really?
It was season 2. It was. It was the second part of season 2 when Jake was introduced after Olivia and Fitz had another breakup, and this was after he killed Verna. And so Jake was introduced, in the coffee shop, and the whole thing was about, is he a good guy or is he a bad guy?
Okay, so I don't recall there being anything hashtag good guy, bad guy. But, I don't usually state in the Twitterverse like that because I'm always trying to get things done. So I can't say about the hashtag. I'm not aware of it. Now, see, Shane, I done told you about that vibing. Put that thing on your lap or something.
Can you see me good?
I can see you fine, but the problem...
You can hear me?
You're causing issues with audio. You need to hang up your phone. And I tried to text you that on the chat, but you don't be listening. All right, so we talked about that. I have a comment already from Gladiator in Harlem. She says, "Happy Friday, everybody. Let's get this thing started. Papa Pope is the king. Hashtag that is all." Man, please, Jake. Jake living fits in that bunker was deep. At one point, Liv looked like she was ready to shut them both down and just step off. just way too much testosterone in the air. What do you think about that? Uh-oh, I can't hear you at all. So I do agree there was way too much testosterone in the air. He wasn't. The two of them were like fighting like dogs over a bone, and that was not cute. I didn't like that. What about you, Shane?
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you fine.
Okay, beautiful. Taking off these. Okay, now what was the question?
She was asking. She said something about at one point, Liv looked like she was ready to shut them both down and just step off. Just way too much testosterone in the air in the bunker. So, how do you feel about that?
I think that she's spot on. I think that Olivia genuinely was trying to focus on the problem at hand, which was, you know, essentially bringing her father down. And what she saw was Fitz and Jake, essentially trying to assert their, I don't know, position in her life. And she wasn't trying to go there. I mean, I genuinely think that in this situation, she's wanting to, um, really do justice by eliminating the evil that she perceived her father to be, and she needed both of them to concentrate on that. So, yeah, I agree with that. I think that it was a lot of testosterone, if you want to call it that, but I think more importantly, Olivia really wanted them to focus not on her, but on sort of the reason why they were all there together.
Sweet Trees Forever says, yes, there was that hashtag, good Jake, bad Jake, happy Friday. And Coffee Light and Sweet has a question. She's like, she needs a male perspective. So I'm assuming she wants me to not comment. So she said, when Fitz and Jake shook hands and Fitz said, no hard feelings, what did that really mean from a man's point of view?
Truce. That's all it meant. They were going to call a truce to get this, to come together and take care of her father. But there are hard feelings. I mean, Fitz is clearly, jealous of the relationship that Jake has with Olivia, and I think that Jake is genuinely jealous of the fact that in his mind he's always second.
Mm.
He mentioned Thursday night, that he referenced her as his girlfriend. He's never done that before, and I don't think he believes them to be a couple. But it was a way to kind of pull on Fitz's chain, if you will.
Yeah.
So in that moment, nah, they didn't genuinely mean no hard feelings. What they mean is, for this moment in time, we're going to call it truce.
For the moment. So they aren't really having a real truce. It's a play truce. If you're listening to the Scandal Podcast live right now, you can chat back with us at Scandal Podcast on Twitter, or because we have a Twitter chat going, so questions are rolling out. Or you can sit here, and I think there's a place on the screen where you can click and actually, for the Q&A app, answer any questions or ask any questions that you have, chime in on the discussion. Gladiator in Harlem says, Andrew and Lizzie Bear, has Andrew turned to the dark side, or is he on an unknown mission? You skipping ahead, Gladiator.
Way ahead.
Skipping way ahead. I got to stop answering them questions. All right, so since Rowan is onto the three of them, and Jake's prophecy came true from the beginning of the episode, do you think the rest of the prophecy will too? He said, if Rowan knows we're onto him, he'll kill me and then he'll kill Fitz. What do you think about that?
You really don't want to hear my theory on that.
Yes, I do. That's why I asked.
Okay. There is something about this whole scenario, and Langstan and I have been talking offline. I know that he's planning on jumping on in a little bit.
Mm-hmm. And Langstan and Elde'a will be here, y'all, so they're coming.
Yeah, they're coming. But I think that I think that there is something more to this whole, and I know we're going to get to this a little later. But I think that there's something to the fact that Rowan knows everything that's going on. And how does he know this information?
That was my question. That was my big question. Like, how did Rowan find out that they were actually planning this ahead of time? How did he know? Who gave him that?
And Jaha, there's something really important. He doesn't just know that they're planning things.
He knows all of it.
About conversations and references that he's not a part of. That whole in the sun thing, you want to go and be in the sun. And he actually said the white light or the white sun. He referenced that to Olivia. But my thing is, how does he know about those phrases? So there is another element in here that personally I think is, I think it has something to do with that dynamic. Fitz and Jake and Rowan. And there's something about that relationship that isn't as it appears. That's my theory. And it's been shot down all over Twitterverse and in Scandalistas and
They shut you down.
They shut me down, but he has her apartment bugged? Really? That's it?
It might be her phone. It may be the phone. Because
the phone wouldn't work because he's referencing standing in the sun. These are intimate references that Jake has with Olivia.
So you think Jake is actually the snitch?
Pardon?
You think Jake is actually the snitch?
I think that the relationship between Jake and Rowan is not as it appears.
Ooh.
Langstan is going to shoot me down in Twitterverse and fellow podcasters. Please just jump in. I can take it. If you have a different theory, let us know. But there is something about the fact that Papa Pope knows. He doesn't just have an idea that Olivia cares about Jake and Fitz. He knows exactly those phrases that she uses with each of them independently that she's not telling him. And the question is, how does he know that? How?
That is a very, very, very good question. So if you all have any ideas, definitely tweet us back. So Spectacles and Script says, wait, are y'all podcasting right now? Yes, we are. Anyway, that relationship is fraught with all kinds of past shenanigans that has not a darn thing to do with Olivia Pope. She just happens to be the latest bone that they're contending over. She's talking about Jake and Fitz. And then Sweet Treats Forever says, Rowan has eyes everywhere. That's how he found out that Olivia went to Supermax. Well, that's turning out to be the case. And then she also says Fitz wanted to call the truth. He wanted to get the business. I'm assuming that's to answer Coffee Light and Sweet's question. Coffee Light and Sweet says there's a new unknown snitch. Who do you think tipped off Rowan about Liv's plan? Somebody tipped him off from the inside, but who? Well, it does make sense that it's actually Jake. And you know what? If you put Jake, you know how everybody puts the names together like Olitz, Olake. If you put Jake and Fitz together, you get fake. That's the only way it works.
Ooh. That's actually pretty cool. But just watching it today, I kind of have another theory.
And what is that?
It's the secondary theory, and it only relates to the. And if we don't want to go there just yet, just let me know, Jaha.
Well,
but it relates to how those documents ended up blank all of a sudden.
That was look, let me tell you.
Okay, so here's what I think. The unknown third party is David. Yes, I said it, Twitterverse. Yes, I
think David is too scary to do something like that. He is way too scary to do something like that.
Don't count David Rosen out. Remember,
David doesn't have any balls. That's being pretty. Look, last episode, David was so shown up by old boy that just rolled into town and on a white horse so he could get some Abby thighs. He was all over that. Like, he was like, look, David ain't never took care of you. You never felt safe. I'm going to make you feel safe. So David has no balls. And I don't want to hear about David because he done made me mad 2 episodes in a row with his foolishness and shenanigans. He was drunk Melly last episode. Then this episode, You know, I'm like, come on, man. And then
Okay.
you back
Let
to ineffectual David this episode.
Okay, let me put this out
He
there, and
don't
then
have the balls enough. He
I'm gonna
don't.
drop it. Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Remember in episode one of this season, Abby told David he needed to go and get some power, right?
He got the power.
Yeah,
I
right.
got the power.
Yeah, so he went out and got some power. After he started using his newfound power, i.e., his little B613 files, he started feeling bad about it, right? He started feeling bad
He
because it
has a
started hurting him.
conscience. I always say that
He
word.
has a conscience. Now, enters Jake. Jake says to David, I want those files back because you're not doing anything with them. What
But
does
you know what?
David says,
Look,
if you take them, it will disrupt the Republic. It's too dangerous. But of course, Jake bullies him, so he gives him the keys. I'm telling you, David wears the white hat. Out of everybody in this show, he's the only one that wears the white hat. He knows that giving those files to Jake isn't going to be good for the Republic. So what does he do? He gives Jake fake files.
no, because Jake actually went through those files on camera. He went through those files. We saw him going through the files. He had the files and he was going through them after David gave them to him. I recall that part. I'm absent-minded, but not that dang on absent-minded. So, I do think that David does have something to do with it, only because when they were fake talking in the bunker with Olivia and Fitz,
right.
Jake was guiding the conversation so that David would follow. I don't know if that's because there's something there, but he was guiding the conversation. All right, so
you make a very good point. Real quick, you make a very good point about that, which again, it takes me back to there's something about Jake that isn't what it appears to be. And actually, Papa Pope references it toward the end of this episode, that when Olivia realizes who those people really are, she will appreciate what he had been doing for her. He actually references that. I think we're going to be visiting that back on the second half of the season.
Okay. Well, Shane has predictions over here. I love me a good predictor. Folks don't be liking to predict on this show. All right. And that's a dig. I'm just playing because I don't want Katrina coming for me. She got me shook. No. All right. So I'm going to read some of these tweets. Sweet Treats Forever says, Shane B. Fitz is not jealous of Jake right now. Fitz is in a place. He knows Liv loves him, no doubt. Specs and Script says, that has not a darn thing to do with Olivia Pope. She just happens to be, she said that. Here we go. I need to get myself together tonight. Tonight I'm a little all over the place. Tula Rosebud said, I think Jake may have a bug in his body and he's unaware of it. Remember when Maya had to have her GPS cut out of her? I think she chewed. Did she not chew that out of her? No, she just tried to get her wrist loose.
No. Yeah, Maya didn't have a bug in her body.
But I think they all have something in them, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know. I can't remember if that's the case. Shane B. Rowan is the one who told Liv about the sun. The conversation on a park bench, he advised her to bring everyone into the sun. He did. He said, drag them into the light. You're supposed to bring people out of the dark and into the light. He did say that. I remember that episode.
That's a good point. He did. But I do think it's odd that he specifically references that so frequently now, since that's Olivia and Jake's little...
But I think that's also something he's always been saying to her all along. Like, she is the light. She's also his light. And when we talked about it last episode in Scandal Podcast After Dark, Langstan said something about she is the sun. She is the sun, literally. So when you look at her being the sun, then it makes sense that they all want to stand in the sun. And even with Tom, him not being able to look directly at her kind of goes to that. We talked about that, I think, in Scandal Podcast After Dark. And I'm not going to talk about nothing else we talk about in Scandal Podcast After Dark because those are secret files. Those are the orange, the black. Those are coded files, and I can't say anything. So I'm going to go back to the questions that we have out here on Twitter. How would you feel if the man you were sunning yourself with wanted to kill your father? How would you feel if that was the case? Like Jake flat out telling Olivia he wanted to murder her father. Like, what? And I'm about to give you sweet thighs, sugar thighs when I get out of here? I don't think so, bruh. And your lip is split. It looks disgusting. Wipe that off. Like, come on, man. Oh, so Coffee Light and Sweet says Maya had a tracking device in her neck. Jake and Huck held her down and took it out after Maya escaped the hole. She's absolutely right. She says, once again, Shane, I have to give it to you. Just like SSA played us, Secret Service agent, I think, played us Why Not David too is the perfect setup because everybody underestimates him and he counts on that fact to move in silence and do major dirt. Boom. All right, I like that. That's a pretty good prediction.
That was a good one, and I want to address that too. There was a good point made about that's a good question because Jake said, "I want to kill your father," right?
Yeah.
Remember, fast forward to the dinner. What does he say to Olivia? You were going to let them what? Take me to court? You thought that they were just going to go to court and go to jail? And in essence, he was saying, you were ready to let them kill me.
Lynch me. That's pretty much what it was. And it sounded like it to me.
And the whole point about that whole thing, again, I have to circle back, and I know this sounds like a conspiracy. How does he know that? How does he know that? When you think about what Jake said, which is, I want to kill your father, is that okay with you? And then fast forward to the, that's what he said. And then fast forward to the dinner. He said,
yes, murder my daddy.
You were willing to let them kill me. You essentially were going to let me go and be killed.
After I protected you all these years.
I'm telling you, there is something about Rowan and Jake in that little relationship that is not what it appears to be.
You're basically saying that Rowan and Jake, like Jake is not deprogrammed like Huck is. Jake is still programmed, and that's going to be something that's revealed in the second half of the season. So Ms. T. Lovely,
extremely unpopular position, but
well, no, that's your position, not mine.
That's what I'm saying. It's unpopular.
So Ms. T. Lovey says that relationship was frayed the minute Jake had an inkling about Liv and Fitz's relationship being more and still pursued her. Yeah, so the relationship between Jake and Fitz. And Sweet Trees Forever says, grimy Jake out for blood, doesn't care about Olivia's feelings. And Spectacles and Script says, girl, I don't even recall half the shit he had to say. You mean about Rowan killing Jake and then coming after Fitz? Nah. Because I said question number 2, since Rowan is onto the three of them about the prophecy of everything that's going down. She said all of that will not be coming into fruition. And I think that Providence Key, which is on Sweet Trees Forever, thinks the same. And she says Jake's been bullying David since he became command. So yeah, Jake has been bullying him. How do you what were Rowan's transgressions? Why does Jake want him to be dead so bad? What do you think it is? Is it the power? Does he want to be back in command? What is it?
Why does Papa want Jake dead?
No, why does Jake want Papa dead so bad? Like, what did Papa do to Jake to make him want to kill him that bad? Because going in the hole is a normal treatment, is a normal, thing against D613 agents that don't do right. That's just normal. That's what happens.
Whoever that is, you have a good point. Why does he want him dead? Why? Because he killed the president's son? Well, hell, you killed Cyrus's husband and kneeled there with him while he died. I mean, why are you so much better than her father that you want him dead? Good question. Doesn't seem real, does it? That's my point.
I said, how would you feel if the man you were sunning yourself wanted to kill your father? Sweet Trees Forever said, I'd be like, really? You need to chill and leave, bro. We ain't about that. I ain't lying. She said, Rowan is command. He has eyes and ears everywhere. When Liv was asking about B613, he told her to stop. Lucky he had a good friend still. I don't know what she's going to say after that. But yeah, Coffee Lighter Sweet says she agrees with Shane. Papa Pope is getting a lot of help from someone on the inside. It used to be Secret Service agent Tom, but I think that now there is a new and improved snitch. Well, I don't think that, I think that tracking device, whatever that is, can possibly transmit both ways. That's what I think. And that's probably why they tried to get it out of Maya. So we're going to be in the After Dark pretty soon. I don't know where Langstan and Elde'a are because we only have 30 minutes left on the podcast. But, you know, Scandal Podcast After Dark is coming pretty soon here. So Scandal addresses a lot of gender issues and gender roles. How do they do that with this case with Elizabeth North?
Gender issues and gender roles.
Yes.
Well, I mean, I think that it was really telling when she met with Olivia and essentially said, for whatever reason, she felt like somebody was had hacked into her phone, and you know, Olivia asked a really kind of basic question: "Well, do you have any enemies?" And she obviously asserted, "Well, yeah,
everybody."
Pretty much. And I think in that moment, I have to say, I kind of respected Olivia's approach in that she said, I don't necessarily agree with your methods, but almost understanding that as a woman or a female in a male-dominated position, that you have to do what you got to do in order to get, you know, where you want to be. I mean, from that standpoint, that's all I have to contribute to it. But I'm not a woman, so.
Wow.
I don't know the struggle.
So the gender issues that were addressed with this case was a lot of Elizabeth North saying that she has to do basically what Rowan said to Olivia, twice as much to be half as good in the same role. So that was something that she really did say. Well, it stood out to me because I feel the same way about being a woman and also being African American, knowing that you have to do twice as much to be half as good in a lot of people's eyes. So that was a gender issue. And then also the idea of, well, this is later on, but when Cy was with his man whore, is whatever he called him. But when Cy was with him and he told him to bend over and you got to be quiet, and you know, he basically made him just be the woman in an instance that they were being intimate in. And I was like, oh wow, that's interesting, because it seemed like that wasn't a traditional way that they did that or whatever, because the way they reacted. So the gender issue, the gender roles, and the reversal of roles, like with Ella, and knowing that what's his name? That died, that was shot down in the street, James. James was more of the mother to Ella than Cyrus was. And here you have Cyrus saying, you know, Ella doesn't really recognize me. She thinks I'm a stranger because I'm barely ever there, because his role was to be the breadwinner, and that was his role. And now he's being the breadwinner, but he also has to be the mother or the nurturer in essence. So just asking about the gender roles in that respect.
If I may, you know, when you think about those things and you think about Shonda and the brilliant mind that she's in, and I know that it trickles down into the writers, but it's almost as if she's blurring those traditional gender-specific roles, such that.
And it's because they're not clearly defined in every household. They're clearly defined in every household, but they're not a clearly defined, this is a man's job, this is a woman's job, and it's breaking down those barriers that we always perceived what a man is supposed to do and what a woman is supposed to do, and even how sexuality is viewed, and even how, you know, relationships are viewed. And I saw that in Scandalistas, like that was something that somebody was like, it's just a show. Yeah, it's a show, but it's helping to shape the culture of society, because we're all so heavily entrenched in the show. And even with How to Get Away with Murder, I haven't watched all of those episodes, but I'm assuming she does the same, because when I talked to a friend of mine, she said that that's what is done on Grey's Anatomy too, breaking down all of those stereotypes that don't really need to exist, because they're just that, they're stereotypes.
But the thing that's interesting about that, as you break down those barriers sometimes, I think that this is the question that really needs to be answered. You know, whether it's answered rhetorically or not is kind of left up to the universe. But if if by gender, for example, that you are necessarily assumed to take a certain type of role or position, i.e., passive, does the means justify the end goal? So in the case of Lizzie, who is essentially saying, yeah, I have a lot of enemies, and no, I'm not a likable person. And even, when we think about that episode where Fitz referred to Quinn as a bitch. And
no, it was Abby. It was Abby.
Was it Abby? Yeah, referred to Abby as a bitch. And then Olivia rolls up and was like, well, wait a minute, why? Because she spoke to you. Hello, hey, Elde'a, hey.
Now, see, you need to slow down. Keep finishing your sentence. She ain't even in
I'm sorry.
You yelling and screaming.
But I'm sorry about it. I'm just so glad to see it. But the idea is, and here's the question that I'm kind of putting out there. Certainly as an African American man, I can tell you that the struggle is real. Does the means justify the outcome?
But that's the whole show. The whole show is that question. Does the means justify the outcome? You were just saying how David always wears the white hat, but at the end of the day, he's done some things that weren't so white, weren't so clean. Everybody is a shade of gray in the show. Not in this episode, but in the show. So no one's completely white. Everybody's kind of a little bit gray. Just depends on the shade of gray that you are.
I would say that the only difference, though, Jaha, is that David is the only one that I could say, maybe Olivia, if you stretch it. He's the only one that seems to have a conscience that makes him kind of want to back off of making those type of decisions and kind of taking the higher road and really doing what's right.
No, because at some point, no, that's not true. Because at some point you want to win. And David has shown us that at some point he wants to win. He doesn't want to just keep taking the high road. He wants justice, and justice sometimes is by any means necessary, Malcolm X. But so that's pretty much what he's saying in a lot of the things that he's doing, and then he regrets it because he does have a conscience, and he feels like, oh my gosh, the ends didn't justify the means because this is what happened as a result of it. But that to me is bitch-assness. You just bitched up instead of saying, I'm going to stand in this and I'm own it because this is what I need to happen so that my country can be better. And I mean, sometimes that's what you need to do. You need to stand up in it and just say, this is what I need for the country to be better. So back onto the comments. Tula Rosebud says, Jake ultimately wants command, doesn't he? I think Jake is scared of the mental control Eli has over his soldiers. And then Sweet Treats Forever says, Papa probably treated him really bad and didn't like his methods. Remember, Huck wanted to kill him too. Tula Rosebud goes back to say, I really do think Rowan has chips in everyone that he owns, including Liv. And I do agree, because the relationship Rowan has with Olivia is a father with the daughter, but it also seems more like an ownership. I don't know if we did cover that before. I think Katrina probably said that before, but it does seem more like an ownership. He owns her. She belongs to him, stuff like that. And when you have a child, it is very difficult to not own your child. You have to let them be themselves and who they are becoming. But a lot of you is imprinted on that kid. You want them to be better. You want them to be this, that, and the third. So I do get where a lot of people say that this is not a traditional relationship, but it really is, because you want the best for your child. And if they betray you in any way, like I remember something happened with my daughter and it felt like a betrayal. I was like, this girl, I can't believe you just did that to me. All the stuff I've done for you, I'm your mother, and this is what you just did? Like, really, girl? So when your child does something that is, like, they literally would murder Rowan. There's no, oh, we're going to take him to justice. That's not going to happen. Just like with Jake. They were initially going to have a trial for Jake, and then they sent his ass to Rowan. They was like, just murk him. We don't care. You think for 1 second if Rowan got in somebody's chair, that knowing all the secrets of everybody in the world, I mean, all of the secrets, that he's going to have a trial. He's just going to have a trial. Somebody going to pay to shiv him in the cell like they did, shank him in the cell like they did Jake? Please, that's nonsense. They would kill Rowan before they even said he would be dead. So
John, you know what? I think that that's interesting that you say that. So from Papa Post's perspective, even though it may not be Olivia's reality, everything that he has done was for her.
Yes, because everything you do is for your children.
And it's almost as if it's almost as if this was a test, a strange test. Ultimately, who are you going to choose? And this was last episode, and he warned her. He said, if you choose them,
you will lose.
You will lose. And it's almost like this episode was the test. Who will you choose?
But it also goes to who is power. You know what I'm saying? It also goes to that idea of who is power. Elde'a, are you going to talk?
Oh, I didn't know if I was in here or not. I was like, did I click on the right link?
Yeah, it also goes to who is power.
Okay.
And if you niche that down, it could go into who is power in her life, who's powerful in her life, who has the power enough to make her choose right from wrong. And clearly she didn't choose Rowan, even though her father, who has been doing all these things for her in a large instance, I feel. And I don't know if you have children, Shane, but for me as a parent, everything I do is for my daughter. Everything I do is to leave a legacy for her. So whatever he's doing within the Republic is to leave a legacy for Olivia, is to pave the way so it's easier for her. I don't know how many parents think that they feel like, okay, I want to make sure my daughter has it all. I want to make sure my son has it all, and that the things that I can do to make it easier for him or her, just like on Blackish, the things I can do to make it easier to pave the way, I'm going to try to do. So I would see it as that.
And he has a very different perception of Olivia than I think we have even as the audience, and that even the people in her life have, like Abby and Fitz have of her. Rowan is very old school. So like you said, he's like, the things I've done to make it easier for you. And Olivia is very new school in the sense that if all she's ever known is what she knows, she has a hard time seeing his perspective. And I think it's a generation thing, because the kids nowadays don't understand the struggle. I mean, even for me, my mom's 52, and she grew up in the 60s. She was born in 62, so she was around for all the civil rights movements. And for me, I've only ever read about it. So like, even when the president got elected, for her, it was like this huge thing. She was like, never thought I'd see it in my lifetime. And for me, it was like, really, you never ever, like I understood why it was important, but it didn't have the emotional impact on me that it had on people of her generation. Does that make sense? You know what I mean? So I think that's where the Rowan and Olivia dynamic is at. It's like, she's always been a child of privilege. She's always probably been the only black girl in her class. So she kind of looks at him like, what do you mean? Like, he has this one perception of her and she has this other perception, and you can always tell when they're in those scenes, she's kind of looking at him like, what are you talking about? You are crazy. Like, you can tell, and he's like, he's not crazy. He's like, it's how he sees the world. They just see it completely differently.
And the crazy, go ahead, Shane.
Well, I was just going to say, I actually most of the time in Scandalistas, I'm joking, but I actually did a topic about that with Papa Pope is a baby boomer. So, he was born, between 46 and 64. His daughter is Gen Y. That's two generations.
Y, yeah.
And so, to your point, that's two different worlds. But he keeps reiterating to her everything that he does. But she is, to your point, she's like, what are you talking about? When he says to her, I have shined their shoes so that you can see.
Yes.
Yes. And she's like, what the hell is he talking about? when he said to her,
it's
in the white sun.
Because his world is black and white. His world is black and white. There are no gray. He has a black and white view of the world, where she has a view of the world that has shades of gray. And it doesn't just go down to black and white as far as color is concerned. That's a large part of it. But I think it's also black and white on right or wrong. Right or wrong. You're going to be right, and I want you to have the best, and I think you are the best, because he's put her on a pedestal. And no matter how many times he tells her about how she's using herself for these people, or whoring herself to men, or however he's saying it, or whatever negative words he says to her, Every parent says those words to their kids when their kids ain't doing the things that they want their kids to do. Every parent, because you got to shock it out of them. You got to shock them. Say stuff that gets them to do what is best for them, not what you want, but what's best for them, because they don't know what's coming down the pike. They don't think that far ahead. And that's what I think in this case with Rowan and Olivia is. She's not thinking far ahead, and he is thinking far ahead. And he's like, you just don't know what you just did. And I think that is very fundamental, because I can't imagine a world without a Rowan in it that's taking care of all of these boogie monsters that are hiding in the dark and stuff that we can't do because we're too good. We're too white-like.
Right.
You know, closer to the lighter shade of white than we are the darker shade of black.
Ooh,
So,
and Jaha, in a bigger scope, remember when he said, you don't know all the things he's been doing to protect her. Now, fast forward to that first case.
look at all those pictures they taking of her. Yeah.
Who's taking pictures of her? And he keeps referring her to, you don't understand who those people are.
Yeah.
And what he's been protecting her from.
And what he's been protecting. But like most parents, okay, I've tried to tell you, I've tried to show you, I'm going to let you
learn.
You're going to learn today.
You're going to learn today. All right, so the whole thing between Rowan and Olivia. Now, to me, I thought that was so insane. First of all, she is going to, she pretended to cry. I knew it was an act when I saw it.
Me too.
She's pretending to cry, and he's on the phone like, what do you need me to do, baby? They're pretending to be normal, and there's no normalcy in their relationship whatsoever. So that first was ridiculous. He showed his hand when he showed up at her apartment without warning and was like, blah, blah, blah. So even if she had no clue that he killed Harrison or killed little Jerry, she knew then because you gave her a clue. I mean, you've never been to her apartment before. She's like, Dad, what are you doing here? Like, why? How do you even know my damn address? I didn't even, did I send you a tweet with it in it? Like, what in the hell are you doing here? Well, so all of that, like, how in the world? You know, so that first, he showed his hand, then she showed her hand. And now it's at the point of, okay, now you're basically trying to get me murdered because these people are not going to have a trial for me. They're going to kill me. I know way too much. Just like with Jake. Jake knows way too much. Jake should die. So having him in that bunker is not a safety issue. Nigga, you're going to die. Like, you are going to die. That's just going to happen because how in the world are you going to walk around free with Papa Pope free, knowing that you... Come on, he ain't going to no dang on island to sit on no sun. Papa Pope ain't doing none of that. He is hiding in a bush, but ready to give orders so that they can snipe the hell out of you. Come on, dude, get a grip.
Yeah.
I haven't seen you get that worked up since I started watching.
I'd be sitting here looking at these things like, are they serious? But, you know, I have to moderate the panel, so I really don't have time to be getting into my feelings. But the phone call between Rowan and Olivia, what were y'all thoughts?
I think we all knew she was setting him up. I think we all knew it was going to be the okie doke. Like, we saw it coming a mile away. I thought it was really well acted, though. I will say that. Carrie,
I thought it was poorly acted.
Well, the scene at the end, like how she kind of turned it and she was like, so I've called, you know, whatever. I thought that was really, but I didn't have any, I felt instantly like when she was on the phone, I was like, oh, this is not going to end well. I was like, why is she letting Fitz and Jake talk her in to going up against her father? Like, that's the thing that I really, it's like, I get that she's like, you know, he has to pay, blah, blah. I get all that, but it's like, Olivia, this, at the end of the day, this is your dad.
Exactly.
You know what line he will and won't cross, and you keep pushing him further and further and closer to that line. And I think that was the point of the end scene, is he was like, okay, you've now pushed me over the line. So, you know, this he's like, this is what it is. Like, you literally are going to choose them over me. Like no ifs, ands, and buts about it. So he pretty much said, you made your choice, you made your decisions. Now I'm gonna make mine and do what I gotta do, and you be damned. Like, you on your own. And
but you know what, Elde'a, I don't want to cut you off because I gotta say this before I forget because I am too absent-minded. But honestly, this is just like when she pushed all her gladiators over a damn cliff. She's always pushing people to do the things that she wants them to do, and then expecting the reaction not to be as severe. Are you serious, girl? Just like when Huck was like, "Bitch, look, is this about work? Like, don't be in my personal business." Huck was not having any of that. He was like, I don't want to hear what you got to say. I could care less. Is this about work? Don't be trying to get all moral with me when you over here spreading thighs and kissing multiple men on lips.
Yeah,
I don't want to hear none of your shenanigans, ma'am.
yeah,
I don't want to hear any of it.
yeah.
We'll check. But I want to say something about that conversation. The acting, Kerry Washington's acting was good, but it was clear that she was acting, Olivia Pope was acting.
Exactly.
Because Olivia Pope wouldn't be calling, crying, and oh, you're right, you're right, Dad. I've been saying you wrong all along, but all of a sudden, I'm in tears crying. If she had taken a more Olivia Pope approach, you know what, Dad? They're fighting over me. This thing is crazy. I'm gonna step out for a while. I don't know what to do. Maybe, just maybe, that would be believable. But all that crying and carrying and all, oh man, come on. Nobody would. No.
Like crying and all. Okay, so Coffee Line and Sweet says she thinks that Jake hates Rowan so much because of Operation Remington. That was the mission that had Jake cover Fitz's butt, and Jake took the heat. Jake's entire future was changed after that, and he never forgave Rowan or Fitz. Girl, you are on the money, honey. I absolutely love that. That is a great thought process. I think you're absolutely right. Question 7. Andrew and Melly, Andrew and Lizzie Bear, did you see it coming? Did you see that coming?
No. No, I didn't. And here's the only thing I want to say about that. I love Millie and Andrew together. Okay, they're perfectly fine. Millie is allowed to get what she get. Fitz get what he get. I ain't got a problem with Millie cheating on Fitz. It ain't about that. What I really wish they had done was gave us more of a build up to it, because it kind of came out of nowhere. It's like all of a sudden Andrew's back. Millie and Andrew see each other. Andrew almost dies. Millie's like, oh my gosh,
came out of nowhere. This dude almost got blown up in the car.
What I mean by that was, it would have been nice if they had even given them like one scene when she was like in Smelly Melly phase, where like he was there and trying to like be supportive, and she was like, no, I don't want, like, it would have been nice to have a scene like that. That's all I'm saying, because it kind of came, because he even said it. He was like, I haven't existed to you for blah 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 months, and she's like, I know, after Jerry. But it would have been nice just to, because for people, because Scandal is still getting new fans every week, Jaha. There are new people still tuning in every week. So for them, I think they kind of were like, oh, Millie, where's that coming from? I didn't see the Lizzie Bill angle coming though, because I was like, so now I'm like, are her and Andrew married? What, like, are they just sleeping together? I don't know. Now I'm very intrigued by it.
But if you look at it from an editing, go ahead, Shane.
I was just saying it didn't seem organic, because if you can step away after she's mourning, literally walking around in Uggs in a bathrobe and not be around, how then do you just kind of pop back up? Like
it does make sense for editing purposes. If he didn't exist for her, then that also gives way to the point of why he was never in the picture, why you didn't see him if she didn't exist for her. You see what I'm saying?
Yes,
so
I do.
If you think about it from an editing perspective, it makes sense, because if they're writing it in this way where he didn't exist literally, then he was nowhere to be seen. And so that is because he's really there for Melly. I mean, he's not being the vice president. Come on, get real. Yeah. He's really there for Melly. So if he didn't exist in the world of Melly, then she didn't see him, and he's not going to be in any of the scenes, which makes sense as to why he hasn't been seen this season, really. Like, well, pretty much this season after the were elected. Yeah. So so that makes a lot of sense from that perspective if you look at it from a viewership perspective. As far as the relationship with them and it being such an abrupt thing, that's normal. She just lost somebody. So her son, as tragically as she did, and then this happening, and it's somebody that she was intimate with, that's hard to deal with. So of course she's gonna be like, let me get those, let me give you these sweet thighs. I'm not gonna get too graphic. Before, after dark part of things. So yeah, of course that then happens. You act like it was a Tyler Perry film and we was watching a beginning and a middle and no end. Like
No. It would have been nice though to see, even if there was just an image of him looking at her and wanting to be there for her but not. It just literally went, he's not there, and now they, sleeping together.
Yeah. Look, When you want them thighs, you want them thighs. You stop it, Shane, because you probably done been in that situation your dang on self, talking about Mr. Bruh. You like, hey, how you doing, girl? Yeah, yeah, my name is Shane. I'm dog chocolate.
Oh
And
my
I'm here for you. And
god.
now all of a sudden you got the girl be like, I'll come over right now. You be like, yeah, baby. So don't act like it's such an abrupt thing.
I'm in the storyline.
Like, my personal life ain't got a dang thing to do with this. All right, so what do you think that's going to happen to David now that the B613 files are blank sheets of paper?
Okay, here's the thing. We know that at some point, three people had access to these files, right? We know Rowan had them at one point, and then we know Jake had them, and then we know Jake gave them to David, and we know David had access because he used them to blackmail earlier in the season, right? So I guess now the question becomes is when did Rowan find out that A, David had them, and B, when did
Probably when he was holed up in his office color coding them for 9 months. Like, if you don't start with them damn colored tabs, you don't order 7 million tabs for these dang on files. And you probably did. That's probably what.
So what do you think? What do I think is going to happen now that they're like pretty much worth nothing? I see. I don't think that I think people assume it was Rowan. I actually think it was Jake. Because he kept using that as his get out of jail free card. He was like, oh, I used to be command. I used to be in B613. Oh, I know this and I know that. And I'm thinking, and then all of a sudden, Fitz is like, you're still not getting out, so it doesn't really much matter, so shut up. And then all of a sudden, the files are empty. So I don't think it was Rowan. I think it was Jake.
Elde'a, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Jaha, can somebody please Can somebody please?
He said that. He did say that. He was very adamant. Now, those are your opinions, Elde'a and Shane. I have no such thought process, and I'm not going to co-sign. So y'all can say whatever y'all like. Don't tweet me a dang on thing. Y'all know them hashtags, and y'all know them Twitter handles. Y'all can tweet them directly. All right, so Sweet Treats Forever says, Rowan is command. I'm reading the same stuff over and over again, y'all. I don't know what's going on with me tonight. All right, so let's roll up here. Y'all go ahead and talk amongst yourselves until I figure this out.
Well, okay.
This is what she said.
Okay, go ahead, Jaha. Go ahead.
Be good. Let me throw it in there. She says, I don't think David has it in him to be a double crosser. Look how guilty he was when the judge committed suicide. No way. Rowan wants to control Liv like he does his agents. Rowan was slighted by love. He doesn't want her to go that way and choose love. And then she also says he was burnt badly by love. That's why he tells her in the end, they won't choose you. Maya didn't choose him. And she says, yes, he's old school when it comes to getting to the top and how you go about doing it. He has instilled it in her. And then also she says he created her, so he's proud of his prized possession and is super overprotective. He doesn't want her to fall in love and lose focus. And then she says, indeed, that fake cry was a dead giveaway. Rowan knows her, and I'm sure he read her for lying, thus making him aware that she was going to help take him out. Andrew's near-death experience maybe woke up Mellie's feelings. The one person who listens to her and cares about her actually almost died. She says she was surprised, indeed, about the Lizzie and Andrew hookup. She didn't see it coming. Rowan became command again, realized that the files were missing, and made it his duty to recover those files. Looks like he did. But I think that he made copies of those files, and that's how that happened. And Tula Rosebud jumps in and says, but when you start killing up people, she must have said something before that. She said, I really do think that Rowan has chips in everyone he owns, maybe even Liv. But when you start killing up people that you love, aren't all bets are off. Aren't all bets off. Has to let Liv live her own life on her own terms. He has to let Liv live her own life on her own terms. And then she says she thinks that the photos are everything that's been going on leads back to Rowan. And the VP Andrew is B613. Whoa.
No.
I didn't see that one coming. I think the VP Andrew is just worried about thighs right now. He's like, I don't really have a real job. I just want to get thighs.
I think he's also just like Jake, very jealous that Fitz has someone and has something that he wants. The vice president wants Millie. and was threatened essentially to stay away from her. Jake, and somebody actually spoke about this earlier, Jake looks at Fitz having the life that he wanted to have. He's very jealous of Fitz. So that whole Remington thing that really changed sort of the trajectory of both of their careers. I think that your boy Jake is extremely jealous of Fitz, and that is more about the thing about Olivia. I don't think that is an authentic relationship on his part. I think it's more about Fitz has her.
But here's the thing. What life does he want that Fitz has? Jake has never once referenced like, oh, this all should have been mine, as if, i.e., he was going to be the president. What does he want? Does he want the wife? Does he want the kids? Does he want the power? What part of Fitz's life are you saying that he wants? Because I don't really get that. I think he's definitely jealous of him, but I don't think it has anything to do with his life. I don't think he he doesn't want anything Fitz has except for Olivia. That's what.
You dropped out for a second. Repeat that.
Sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I was just saying, I think he is jealous of Fitz, but I don't think he's jealous of Fitz's life. Like, I don't think he wants the wife. I don't think he wants the kids. I don't think that's what he wants. The only thing he wants is Olivia. That's what he wants, but he can't have that. So I think that's where you get that's why you get them trying to, like, puff out their chest. Like, that first scene was about who can stick out their chest the furthest, right? Like, excuse me, I'm talking to my girlfriend. Yeah. Oh, that's our saying, because it's like, I know you and Fitz have sayings, and it's like, that's like, really, what are you doing? And Fitz was like, I'm not gonna engage. Like, Fitz tried to be the bigger man, and then he just kept going and kept going. So then at the end of the day, Fitz was like, okay, I'm gonna show you the control. He's like, sit down and shut up, because you're not leaving. Now what? Like, it was like, at the end of the day, what do you have? Like, he can never be Fitz. No matter if Remington happened or not, he was never going to be Fitz, ever.
We should talk about the bravado that Jake demonstrated while, he just got pulled out of the dungeon. But there was something else, and maybe you guys can help me remember. There was a scene, I believe it was in season 2, or at the end of season 2, where Jake said to Fitz, essentially, I did something to protect you or cover you, and that you essentially now have this life that I didn't have a choice. He referenced that.
Yeah, he did say that.
So,
he did.
He's the jealousy and the bitterness, he definitely doesn't want Millie and those kids, but the life that was sort of planned out.
And those kids.
The murder son, the baby that don't know his mama.
Where everything was just made. Remember, Papa Pope even talked about it. Papa Pope talked about it. Everything was just laid out for Fitz. Just laid out for him.
But the same was for Olivia. Everything was laid out for Olivia. If you look at it that way and you compare it that way, then they have the same life in essence. Because everything was laid out for her by her dad, and everything was laid out for Fitz by his dad.
But Jake isn't comparing the choices that were made in his life against Olivia. He's comparing it against Fitz.
But because Olivia is the prize that he can take from Fitz.
Yeah. I mean that's my thought process.
Well, we're going to get one last question in. The Olit's kiss and her hesitation about kissing him. What was that about? And then we're going to abscond to the Scandal Podcast After Dark. So you all know what to do. You want to be a part of the Scandal Podcast After Dark. That URL is dramaqueenbooks.com/support. Again, it is dramaqueenbooks.com/support to support our Patreon campaign and join us in the Scandal Podcast After Dark, where we are a little more raw and uncensored than we are on the podcast, if that's even possible. So we get to let our hair down a little bit.
I'll say something.
Here.
Hey, everybody. I'll say, hey, what's going on, you guys? It's been a rough day, but anyway, maybe I'll talk about it in After Dark. But in answer to that question, I would say Fitz answered that question for us. what is it? You think you're being disloyal to him, disloyal to me?
Yeah.
And I think that's exactly what it is. She's caught between the two. It's like that old school song, torn between two lovers, and she doesn't know how to feel. And it's like, and she's in essence, she did kind of play Fitz. She has been playing Jake, because what was it? It wasn't until like what, episode 4 or 5 when she started calling him her boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
Actually,
so
we are too old to be calling somebody some damn boyfriend.
I know, right?
So it's like up until that point, he was just your piece, your booty call,
Your boo thing.
basically, your boo thing, and then all of a sudden he goes missing, and then all of a sudden you develop feelings for him. Yeah, I think that there's that strength of what she has with Fitz, even though it's wrong. But then she developed something with Jake while they were on the island. So it's like she's stuck, and
he knew
she
that
needs
was
to
going to
figure that out.
happen.
She needs to
He
figure
knew that was
out
going to
quick.
happen. That's why he wanted to go with her, because he wanted to develop something. He wanted to get in between that love that she had for Fitz.
Right.
Right, and I think the more we watch it, go ahead, Links. I'll let you finish.
I was just going to say, but you also note that whole thing of it's okay if you don't choose me went right out the window when his innocence was proven. All of a sudden it's like, yeah, I'm the shit now, so I'm back. So guess what?
Right.
Langstan,
step aside, Fitz.
Langstan, I gotta say this, and this is the last time I'm gonna say it. You make a good
I'm not listening to you. La 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 la.
You make a good point.
This is audio, right?
I know exactly what he's gonna say. So go ahead, say it.
I'm just gonna say it like this. To your point, he gave this whole, it's okay, Olivia, that you didn't choose me. It's all right. Don't feel bad. He didn't mean that. Jake is not who he appears to be. I'm not buying none of his bull crap. None of it. He is not who he appears to be. Okay. As soon as they said innocent, you right. Now he's up there talking about, I'm Captain Jake to you.
Yeah. And by the way, we stand in the sun. Oh yeah, that's our catchphrase. Stand in the sun. That's our catchphrase. Did she happen to catch you up on what happened on the island? I'm like, you know what?
Really?
But it's okay. It's okay that you choose him, though.
Yeah.
Right.
Here's the thing.
It's playing Olivia like a damn puppet.
But
he's playing her.
But
is trying to tell her that, and she's not trying to hear it.
Right, but here's the thing. I think the more they play out the aspect of Liv and Jake's relationship versus Liv and Fitz, I think you can really see she feels a loyalty to Jake and she loves Fitz. And I think that's what we're really seeing, because
that's the difference.
Because last season, I think even as a fan, I would watch the show and I would be confused and I'd be like, okay, you wrote this storyline with Liv and Jake, and it's like they're the couple. Liv and Fitz can't be together, and it's like, okay, but you gave me nothing to root for them. Like, you gave me no reason to root for Jake and Liv. And then this season, you can really see it's like Jaha brought it up earlier about how she always pushes people to the line and pushes them over the cliff or over the edge, so to speak. And I think with Jake, you can see that internal battle that she has. Like, she feels responsible for him ending up where he's at, because if she weren't Olivia, if she weren't Rowan's daughter, Jake would have never been caught up in this mess, because regardless of how it started, he would have never been in a position to pursue her in any capacity. Does that make sense? So you could tell she's like, man, I got to figure out a way to get him out of this. Like, I got to figure out a way to help him. And you can see that when they're in scenes together, because she's like, Jake wouldn't do this. He just wouldn't, because it's like she can't be wrong, because it's like everyone's like, Jake is a good guy, and she's like, well, he has to be a good guy because he can't be like Fitz, if that makes sense.
But this is also about her, because she doesn't want to mistrust her gut. She doesn't want to keep doing that. So this is also about her and the way she feels about trusting herself. Yeah, but we talked about this before, how a woman has to go through the process of, when she mistrusts herself, rebuild that confidence in herself so that she no longer feels like she can't trust herself anymore. Because that's the hardest thing for a woman to recover from. So
because right now as it stands, she has what Jaha calls the bubble gut. Because it ain't cooperating. It ain't cooperating at all.
No, but also another point is Fitz hasn't presented her with anything differently. If it's like, no, he hasn't. He's still married to Melly. He's still talking about how he's got to take care of Melly. If you remember that scene they had, he was like, I've got to be there for her. We just lost Jerry. Blah 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 blah.
But Liv told him to do that though.
Right. So, but that's what I'm saying. But it's like she's still waiting for Fitz to step up and make what he said a reality about how this could be us.
But when you say that,
living, making jam, making babies, and it's like she's waiting for him to show her that can be their reality.
But when you say that, that's the same thing that Abby has been waiting for David to do.
Yes, exactly. Show me how it can be different.
Yes, she has. Yes, she has been.
Fitz isn't bring anything different to the table than what he brought in season 1 and what he brought in season 2. He is bringing himself, his crazy wife, and all that drama right to her doorstep, saying we could be together. It should be you and me. And she like, you is fucking crazy. She's like, what is going to be different this time? So of course she's going to choose Jake. She's going to choose Jake because
she wants somebody in the bed.
You know what I love. You know what I love about this. Shane can't say a word.
The reason she's choosing Jake is because she wants some normalcy. She wants some consistency. Yes, she does. She wants normalcy. Look, for all the love that she has for Fitz, she cannot get that with Fitz because of the United States.
Exactly.
Regardless of whatever you
crazy
family. To Shane's point, I'll say this. Remember last season when she basically told him, "What do you want from me today? What is my job today?" And basically she was basically saying, every day I'm looking at a man who's promising me this, who promises me that, but it never materializes, and I keep seeing that dream flowing away in the distance.
Yeah.
So it's like, I feel what you're saying. I feel what you're thinking, Shane, because you haven't said a shit. But
he said a lot. We have this whole episode. Thanks for being here.
I'm talking about in this moment. He hasn't been able to get his thoughts out.
Shane, look at this. He's gonna come late and call you out.
No, listen, we're gonna focus right here.
No. I'm enjoying this. I'm enjoying this because I can never get him to shut up.
Olivia Fitz necessarily fan, but I will say this about Fitz. Every single time he has said to Olivia, I want you. I will give this up for you. He went to her house and sat there while his wife was talking about the affair, and he did that for her. He was ready to give it all away, and then Olivia goes back and says,
now you're singing.
And then he outed her. And then he turned around and outed her, Shane. Come on.
All right, so look, we have to wrap this up, Shane.
They're not loyal.
Shane, you can't go on a rant.
He did, but you know what? But he outed her. He outed her in hopes that it would put them.
All right, I muted both of them because they don't listen to me. Now, so since y'all want to talk over me and Elde'a because we have feminine voices and you can't hear us when we talk at the same time, I am saying that this is 9:40 and we're wrapping this up. Y'all can hear me, but y'all just I can't reach y'all. I love that.
Oh, I unmuted myself.
Yeah.
I'll unmute myself.
You see how these toggle buttons work? Now, let's go. We're going into the Scandal Podcast After Dark. Dang nabbit. So, y'all can get that rant on in Scandal Podcast After Dark, but I did want to wrap up with a couple more, a question. Y'all can unmute yourselves. I'm sorry. I did want to wrap up with the last 5 minutes of the show so we can at least get that in with the regular podcast so that they can get our reactions to the last 5 minutes of the show. We only have 3 minutes to wrap up our thoughts. Look at the clock. It is 9:40. You have 3 entire minutes. 1, 2, 3. Not all y'all, between all of you. So tell me what your thoughts are for the last 5 minutes of the episode.
Am I unmuted?
I was scared. Papa Pope's scared. Yeah, you're unmuted. I'm gonna go first, and then you guys can go. The last 5 minutes of the episode, I was scared. Papa Pope scared the bejesus out of me. I just want to say, I was like, oh my gosh, Liv, what the fuck have you done? You really messed up. What was the other last 5 minutes of the show? Was that the last 5 minutes? It was just a little Papa Pope scene, right? When he kissed all the people. I think that was pretty much it. So, the Huck scene. Can we talk about that? That was really creepy, by the way. I just want to say that. I was like,
After Dark.
Yeah, I was like, yeah.
Oh, Elde'a is.
Last 5 minutes, okay. Elde'a. Last 5 minutes. You only have a minute and a half left.
Oh, Langston's still muted. Let me unmute Langston.
Oh, how you going? Okay, am I open now? Am I unmuted now?
2 minutes.
So anyway, the last 5 minutes. I just, it was like I had this feeling that something wasn't quite right in the way that he was being so amenable and just sitting there having this cordial conversation. But as soon as he set his knife down, pushed his plate back, I was like, okay, this is about to go sideways real quick.
He ain't even cut that steak.
But right, and then you're already, you're already seeing Liv starting to get the quiver face, and it's like, okay, and then they're showing you as the people are moving in place. Now, my personal theory, of course, is the fact that, he didn't necessarily have, other men in place. I think those people were killed by friendly fire by people who were already a part of their group. Mm-hmm. So basically, I just don't know to figure out, okay, if he could have Tom in the White House as a B613 agent, don't you think that he has them elsewhere too? So it's like everything that they should have thought out or should have listened to Jake on, they didn't listen to Jake, and that's how it all fell apart.
That's how it all fell apart.
So ultimately, I was just blown away by just the way he just, all the precision, and then him just ultimately just walking out and leaving her sitting there with her mouth hanging open.
Like a boss. All right, Shane, you got 30 seconds. You see how we do what you're saying?
I would just say that I think in that one brief moment, Olivia was afraid, genuinely. Because when he told her, because of you, all of those men out there who are set to kill me are now dead, I think she realized in that moment just how much of a mistake she had made in the way that whole thing was coordinated, because Jake did tell her, if you set this up like this, people are going to...
for y'all too? Shane, you dropped out. You said just... Okay. Oh, go ahead. Say that again.
After dark.
No, say that again. You said just how much of a mistake that she had made. Go ahead.
Just how much a mistake she had made, one, in that whole setup, but two, I think for a moment, she might have realized that maybe, just maybe, teaming up with the two of them might have been a mistake. But, we'll see.
All right.
So, definitely teaming up with Jake. So
teaming up with Jake is not good.
It don't work out for nobody.
So, okay, Coffee Lemon Sweet did ask Andrew and Lizzie Bear, has Andrew turned to the dark side or is he on an unknown mission? She kind of speaks to somebody else saying that Andrew is about as a B613 agent. We can answer that in the After Dark. We can answer that.
I don't think he's a...
Does he listen?
I don't think he's B613, but yeah, I heard you, but I'm just saying I don't think he's B613, and yes, we could do it. Yes, we can go to After Dark.
All right,
let's go.
Most of these will be read in After Dark. Thank you all for tuning into the Scandal Podcast. I'm Jaha Knight. See how I mixed all of that up? And these are my gladiators, my fellow co-hosts. Go ahead and tell them who you are again, so we can go ahead and tell them goodbye.
Hi, my name is Elde'a Harris, and you can find me at
hi.
Bye. Hi, my name is Elde'a Harris. You can find me on Twitter at Janet Tam.
I'm Elde'a Harris. I have to reword your sentence. and then at the end you say bye. Like, and I would like to know why Langstan is in sepia tone in real life. Like, how does that happen?
Actually, I'm not in sepia. I'm not in sepia tone.
Yes,
See, this is my natural color here, but it's the no, it's the curtains are all like this sepia color and stuff, so it makes it look like everything else is in sepia.
And you are golden up in there. You're like a little bronze man. I'm like, what? All right, Shane, give them your advice.
That's my natural skin tone.
Hello, fellow gladiators. This is Shane B. You can find me on Twitter at ShaneB20774, and you can find me on Facebook at D'Angelo S. Brown, and just holler at you. Love you all. I'm the man you love to hate. I'm here.
I am convinced that at this point that I need to reword people's sentences, because while I'm telling people hello at the end of the podcast, and on top of it, you just might as well throw out your social security number too, Shane, because you just get Thank y'all for joining us.
Hey, I didn't get to introduce myself.
I thought you did.
No, I didn't. You were talking about my sepia tone.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But anyway, I'm Langstan Smith. You can find me at Langstan Smith on Twitter. And have a good night. We'll see you in After Dark.
Yeah.
Come to After Dark. Come to After Dark.
Yeah. Okay.
Shut up.